To tell its story as briefly as possible, it may be said that at the end of the 17th and commencement of the 18th centuries, when the duties of the overseers included the administration of relief to the poor and other matters now devolving upon paid relieving officers, it was customary for the overseers, for the time being, to meet their predecessors in office at one of the principal taverns in the parish to compare notes, confer on parochial matters generally, and to drown their cares in a cloud of smoke. The mutual profit and the pleasant intercourse afforded by these meetings resulted in the formation of the Past Overseers Society, to whom presented in 1713 by Henry Monck, one of their number, a horn tobacco box of about 3-ounce capacity, which was said to have been bought at Horn Fair, Plumstead, for the modest price of 4d. In recognition of the gift, the recipients decorated it with a rim of silver, bearing the donor's name. On the appointment of new overseers, the custody of the box was entrusted to the senior member of their body, who, with his colleagues, placed an inscribed silver ornament on the lid. The overseers for the next year affixed a band of silver on the sides. Others, in their turn, added further plates until the box was entirely covered with engraved silver. Gradually the box became enclosed in silver in like manner, each body of overseers adding some ornament during their year of office. The additions of 173 years have increased the dimensions of the box from about 3 inches by 5 to about 24 inches across by 30 inches high. In weight, it has grown from a few ounces to rather over 100 pounds, while the compound interest of the original 4d is simply incalculable. For notwithstanding the great intrinsic value of the silver, neither the records nor the engravings could be replaced. It is not surprising, therefore, that the Past Overseers Society regard the preservation of the box with great anxiety, a care which its history fully justifies, for in 1785, when the value was much less than now, the melting pot had been prepared for its reception by burglars, who, on seeking it in the house of Mr. Gilbert, the overseer in possession, were fortunately disappointed of their spoil, through its having been securely placed out of reach. This escape was shortly followed by jeopardy of another kind. In 1793, the box passed in the ordinary way to the custody of Mr. Overseer James Reed, whose accounts the vestry subsequently declined to pass. The accounts showed a balance due to the accountant, and the refusal to pass them was interpreted as an objection to pay Mr. Reed that balance. He thereupon threatened the destruction of his silver charge, upon which a bill in Chancery was filed against him, and an order of the court made for the delivery of the box in the charge of Master Leeds, pending the result of the suit. After 3 years' suspense, Lord Chancellor Loughborough, in finding for the plaintiffs, ordered that the box and the cases be restored, a decision which is the subject of a special plate headed "Justice Triumphant, Fraud Defeated, the Box Restored." The plaintiff's costs in the case were £376, 13 shillings and 11 of which £300 was paid by the defendant, the balance besides the cost of the special plate having been readily subscribed by the society. Having escaped 2 dangers, the box was placed in jeopardy a 3rd time in 1837, when a fire broke out in the house of Mr. Edward Milnes, the overseer in charge. Its preservation was due to the thoughtfulness of Mrs. Milnes, who, while her husband was endeavouring to save his books and business papers, rushed to the box just in time to rescue it from destruction. Being then much smaller than it is now, Mrs. Milnes was able to carry it to a neighbour's house and place it again in security. In an article entitled "The Biggest Tobacco Box in the World," published in the Strand magazine of 1894, the American Harry Howe claims, "The famous receptacle for the fragrant weed, which is faithfully guarded by the overseers of the united parishes of St. Margaret and St. John the Evangelist, Westminster, is not only the biggest in the world, but unquestionably a historical curiosity into the bargain. The very elaborate ceremony of passing over the box from the outgoing overseer to the incoming one after the customary dinner at the annual general meeting has a distinctly pleasant savour of the good old times. Once the usual toasts have been proposed, and drunk with enthusiasm, amidst silence, the senior churchwarden rises and solemnly demands the restoration of the box and its appurtenances. Then the secretary examines it and has to declare whether it is in as good a condition as when delivered, what is the nature of the last ornament added, and, what is more important than all, if the original box contains a proper quantity of tobacco. Should the secretary's report be a satisfactory one, the box is placed in front of the chairman, who immediately proposes a toast. The late overseers of the poor, with thanks to them for their care of the box and the additional ornament. The minute books of the past Overseer Society shows that on several occasions the chairman has been fined the 6 bottles of wine for not producing a satisfactory report. For example, January 13th, 1831, the tobacco box having been called for by the chairman was not produced at a quarter before 10 o'clock. It was then moved and seconded and carried unanimously that Overseer Page be fined 6 bottles of port. August 9th, 1832, Mr. Overseer Downey was the most unfortunate individual in the way of having to pay the fine, for on no fewer than 3 occasions in 1847 he failed to produce the tobacco box and was fined 6 bottles of port for each offence. Mr. Overseer Downey, notwithstanding the fact that the society carried the fine unanimously, did not pay up till April 3rd, 1848. A message added to the first case in 1765 stated that the box was to be produced safely at each monthly dinner on penalty of 5 guineas, which increased to 20 guineas in 1776, rising to 50 guineas in 1789. An early description of the ceremony by Winkworth in 1966 informs new appointed overseers that the penalties for not restoring the box with the several cases belonging to it into the society in as good a state as the same now are, with some additional ornament, at the next meeting thereof after you shall go out of office, or sooner if demanded, under the penalty of 200 guineas each.